Report for a Tuesday. Yeah. We made it. Tuesday. We do this every Monday through Friday. This is feeling a little bit hot. A little bit hot in my ears. Hot in my ears, boys. Hold on. Let me get some of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That should be good. All right, I think we're good. Hi, everybody. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every month. As I learned in stand-up comedy class last night, I tend to rush. So I'm going to slow down a little. I'm going to try and be a little bit more, slow. Because, it's nervous energy. This is why I talk like this. The way I talk because I am so petrified of the idea that there is going to be some, what we used to call in radio, dead air, that I'm just constantly trying to fill up the dead air with whatever it is to listen to, because that's what people want. People want something to I need to stop that. I need to calm down. Learned that in stand-up comedy class last night. I sure did. All right, so my name is Pugs Moran. This is the High Noon Report, and we do it every Monday through Friday, noon. That's right, high noon. Is this better? Is this better? Like, see, I was just doing it the new way, and now suddenly I'm doing it the way I normally do it, which is like this really frantic, fast-paced way. Hi, Byron. Byron's in the chat room. We got Rainy Days in the chat room. We got Mama B in the chat room. Leslie, come on, everybody. Grab your futons, your yoga mats, your beanbag chairs. Form that soul circle of life, if you will. Join hands. Let's project optimism. Sorry, I'm trying to get my computer up here. So what do we do here on the show? We gather every day at noon and we talk about the headlines, the hot topics, the current events. I try and fill you in on all the stuff that people are talking about. We don't get political. We don't like to be divisive. We also try to give you a nice little, a backstage look at what this day has represented in the past. We take a look at the events that have shaped our perception of this day in a segment we call Erstwhile on This Day, or if you will, previously on September the 12th, which is what it is. Hey, I don't have the air conditioning on. That's crazy. I just realized I don't have the air conditioning on. Oh my God. And maybe that's because, hold on, it is a little hot though. Like, I want to put the air conditioning on. So, it is currently 79 degrees, ladies and gentlemen. It is 79 degrees in Highland Park, Texas. Dallas proper. It is 79 degrees. Now, some of you might be thinking, hey, what's the big deal? So especially some of you in the Midwest, you luckies. Oh, good Lord. The dog hasn't been inside all day. The dog is just like laying outside. She's like, this is okay. This I can handle. This is not a sauna, because it's been 110 degrees for the last 100 days. All right, so we go through all of the events. We tell you about the things that have happened previously on this day. Then we give you the birthdays. We go into everybody celebrating a birthday. We talk about them. Then we do a little segment I like to call Heaven or Hell, where we look at the people who died on this day and we sit in judgment on them. That's right. We take a look at we take a glimpse. And let's be honest, we're all pretty ignorant of some of these people because they were around a long time ago. But whatever, we judge their brand. We judge whatever we think of, and we send them to either heaven or hell. So after we do that, after we do Erstwhile on This Day, after we do hey, it's their birthday, and after we do these are the people who died, are they in heaven or hell? Then we get into the events of the day. So if you're with me, let's get started. The whole thing should take, I don't know, about 2 hours typically is what we do. Although, sometimes runs a little short, sometimes a little bit long. You can't say that I have a plan because I have demonstrated both areas. On this, this is how we start. It is the High Noon Report. I am Pugs Moran for a Tuesday afternoon, the 12th day of September, year of our Lord, 2023. Did you know that September the 12th, this very day, is the 255th day of the calendar year? There are 110 more of these bad boys until we all get to sing Old Lang Syne together. Do you sing? You don't sing Old Lang. Do you sing Old Lang? Yeah, okay. So there's that. Should all, I guess that's all people know. Should all acquaintance be, and then we lose the lyric. Okay, you sing Old Lang Syne. Let's not get in the weeds on that one. We've got a lot of stuff to cover today. Let's get started with the first segment that we call Erstwhile on This Day. This is where we take a look back at all the things that have happened. We look for rhythms. We look for patterns. We look for things that may have happened in 1520, that happened again in 1830, that happened again in 1979. We try to look for these things. Why? Because we are so desperate for any shred of a glimpse. We're like degenerate gamblers. We're looking for an edge on what's to come in this day. So that's why we do this segment. Erstwhile on this day in 1938, Adolf Hitler demands autonomy and self-determination for the Germans of the Sudetenland. Sudetenland, of course, that's what he called it. That's what they do. They rename something. This is what happened. Look, I'll get into this in a second, but this is what they do. They rename something, and then they claim it's theirs because they've renamed it, even though it was something else. He did this with Czechoslovakia. Hitler, on this day in 1938, he was like, hey, there's a lot of Germans living in Czechoslovakia. Here's what I say. They're no longer Czechoslovakian citizens. They're now citizens of Germany, and they live in Germany. And then the Czechoslovakians were like, but they don't. They live in Czechoslovakia. And Hitler's like, no, they live in the Sudetenland, right? Okay, so this is how it is. So that's how he justifies it. These are German citizens. This land is an arbitrary border. This is our homeland. We're taking it, right? Be like if Mexico, right? What if Mexico, I'm not saying now because Mexico's a mess, but what if in 50 years, Mexico gets their shit together and suddenly they get some dude that rises to the top and goes, hey, all Mexicans living in America, you know what I mean? Like does the same thing that Hitler does, where suddenly you're not American citizens, you're Mexican citizens, and because there's a rise in the power and influence of Mexico over the next 50 years, these American citizens are like, well, maybe we ought to go with them because they seem to have the big army now or whatever, right? I don't know. I don't have great expectations for this country. Have you taken a look around? 50 years from now, I don't know what we're going to be. We should hope to be Canada. We should hope that that's as low as we sink. Anyway, the reason we talk about this that occurred on this day in 1938 when Adolf Hitler decided that Czechoslovakia was now Germany is because it's happening again. And this is what I say about Putin and the Ukraine. It's exactly what Putin did. First, he renamed Crimea. Well, no, it's like, and he went down there and he took that. And then he looked at, he's like, hey, there's also a whole lot of Russian citizens that live in Ukraine. How about we just say that all their houses are Ukraine and Ukraine is just part of Russia? And you know what? Let's cut out the middleman and let's just roll our tanks over the border exactly as Hitler did. So that's why people are like, fuck, Putin, you can't do this because they know history. And Europe knows history. That's why Europe's freaking out over this. On this day in 1943, speaking of European World War II history, on this day in 1943, Benito Mussolini is rescued from house arrest by German commando forces led by Otto Skorzeny. I don't know. I gave up on the name. I saw that it was a complicated last name, and I went, nah, I'm just going to give up on it. And that's why I pronounced it Otto Skorzeny. Let's try it, though. Otto Skorzeny. All right, so long story short, Mussolini bedazzled the Italian people. They got tired of his BS fairly quickly. Unlike the Germans, who were just like, hey, they don't call us good Nazis for nothing. The Italians were actually like, yeah, nah. And they went and they got Mussolini. But, Germany the war was still going on. So there were still German forces and all that stuff. So on this day, Mussolini got rescued. The Italians got him. Hey, you are going to sit there. They put him in a house in the German special forces when we got to get this guy. And they went and got him. But then, the Italian people got him again. And we all know what happened to Mussolini. He got the Gaddafi treatment. On this day in 1953, U.S. Senator and future President John Fitzgerald Kennedy marries Jacqueline Lee Bouvier. On this day at St. Mary's Church in Newport, Rhode Island. And so the arrangement began. On this day in 1958, Jack Kilby demonstrates the very first working integrated circuit. Where? He did it here. Texas Instruments, baby. TI. I have a friend who works at TI. You ever been on that TI campus? On 635 in Central? Right up there. Woo-hoo-hoo! Now, I've never seen the Google headquarters, or I've never seen Apple, HQ. But I will tell you that Texas Instruments, TI, that TI campus there is friggin' baller, man. It's like its own city. So it was on this day that all started. Happy anniversary, Jack Kilby, and all you fine folks at Texas Instruments. Born on this day in on this day in 1959, Bonanza premieres, the first regularly scheduled TV program. Okay, so that's the lead. This is called burying the lead. The lead isn't that Bonanza premiered. The lead is that it was the first television show ever presented in color. That's the bigger story. I'm so sick of bad journalism. All right, so here's how it's listed. On this day in 1959, Bonanza premieres. And then, like, the afterthought is the first regularly scheduled TV program ever presented in color. That's the bigger deal. All right, anyway. There's a story coming up today that made me lose my mind. We'll get to it. Let's see here. On this day in 1962, also concerning President John F. Kennedy. On this day in 62, President Kennedy, right here in Texas at Rice University. That's right. That's where he did it. He delivered his, what I think is, so a long time ago, I was given a CD box set by my first wife of the great speeches of history, and I devoured them. I mean, the Churchills, right? The Roosevelt. It's just all this cool stuff. And there was a bunch of Kennedy stuff. And this speech that he delivered, John F. Kennedy delivered on this day in 1962, is probably my favorite America LFG speech of all time. You know what I mean? Let's go! Like this, it just talk about a pump-up speech. So it was on this day right here outside Houston at Rice University where John F. Kennedy gave his "We Choose to Go to the Moon" speech. And I want to just play you a little bit of it here because it is, man. I mean, you get why people got bedazzled by politicians at a certain point, right? Because you're like, man, that dude's sharp. He made me just want to go to war for America. All right. So here we go. I'll just play you my favorite portion of it. On this, the anniversary of the JFK "We Choose to Go to the Moon in America, the most kick-ass country on the planet" speech. Here we go.
Not be deterred. We shall send to the moon, 240,000 miles away, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked.
God dang it, people. I love that speech. And there's about 2 minutes before where I didn't let you listen to that is equally as moving. Just boom. Here's the thing, though, about that speech that has always bothered me. I think he lost his place. I think he skipped the line. I think he may have skipped an entire paragraph. And it's the point where he goes, "We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon and do the other things." The other things? Like, what, did you lose your place? What do you mean the other thing? Such a beautifully poetic and wonderfully performed speech. And then he loses his place, and I'm totally taken out of the moment. In the way he does it 3 times. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to he's looking for his place in the speech. And then he says it one more time. We choose to go to the moon and do the other things. That's where he gave up. That's where he was like, okay, I'm just going to move on to the next segment. Great speech, incredible speech delivered on this day right here in the great state of Texas. No doubt it was done outside Houston, as that was probably a very friendly crowd to the announcement of the space race. It seemed as though that was one of the great achievements of that dirty little cousin that we keep at the bottom of our state. Not born on this day. I'm sorry. These are still incidents, right? So that was on this day in 1962. On this day in 1962, John F. Kennedy at Rice University. We choose to go to the moon. On this day in 1984, Dwight Gooden sets the baseball record for strikeouts in a season by a rookie, 276. It was previously held by Herb Score. Herb Score back in 1954 had 200 and how many? 200. All right, rookie 70 previous Herb Score 246. That's what? Wait, I don't know. Whatever. Here's what I want to say about Dwight Gooden, because this is prime baseball Johnny era for me, boy. It is astounding to me, being a child who knows more about 80s baseball than probably any other sport, right? I probably know more. Maybe I know more about mid-80s Bears, but 80s baseball, that was my thing. I was 12, right? So just like, or whatever. I was just ripping through. It was my obsession. Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry playing on that same Mets team, and not to mention the other players they had, whether Hernandez and Carter, and that team didn't win 5 World Series will always be. And here's the problem: a lot of you younger guys, you don't remember Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, and honestly, they haven't hung around the game, so they're not everywhere. You know, I mean, it's funny that we might know somebody like. Steve Lyons. We remember Steve Lyons because Steve Lyons now does Major League Baseball telecasts. He was a player during the same period as Gooden and Strawberry. But my 14-year-old knows Steve Lyons. I don't know that my 14-year-old knows Doc Gooden, which is crazy because these two guys being on the same team, which was already loaded with talent. There's those two, and then there's like 3 other Hall of Famers. Keith Hernandez. Certainly Gary Carter, Ron Darling. I think Ron Darling's in there. And anyway, it doesn't matter. They were like what we have today in baseball with the Angels, and it's almost as confounding. The Angels have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, the two. It's not even an argument. It's 2 top players in baseball. The 5-tool all around, players in baseball. They've got them. They're on the Angels. But man, it really does remind me of back when Straw and Doc were both on the Mets. And the Mets, for some reason, here's what I've always, historically, this is what I've come to think about it. Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry were 2 of the greatest baseball players I'd ever seen in my life. And as it turns out, they weren't even trying. They weren't even trying, man. I mean, if these 2 dudes were athletes in 2023, they'd be on the Tom Brady diet. You know what I mean? They'd be like, well, no, I can't ever have strawberries. Instead, it's 1986, and these guys are in a club at 5 a.m. doing giant rails off actresses' bellies. I mean, and then they'd go out, and Doc would strike out 20 or, whatever. Incredible. It's just incredible. There is a really good ESPN. I don't know if you're into ESPN 30 for 30s or docs or their original films, but there is a tremendous documentary on ESPN about those teams. And I think it's called something about Queens. It came from Queens or something like that. If you get a chance to see it, there's also a tremendous 30 for 30 called Doc and Darryl about Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, and basically echoing all the things that I'm just saying now. If these guys just had tried, they were just out there, you're going to pay me how much? All right, I'll throw the ball. I mean, but they weren't even like incredible. It was on this day that Dwight Gooden set the rookie record. Let's see here. In 1994 on this day, Frank Eugene Corder fatally crashes a single-engine Cessna 150 into the White House's South Lawn. I remember this story, but I remember because it was before 9/11 when crazy shit didn't happen around here. I remember this happened, and I was just like, huh. And we all moved on. We didn't think anything of it. How did this happen? First of all, was he not fully committed? He crashed on the lawn. You couldn't have, that seems like an adjustment in the air of like maybe one itty bitty pullback where you don't hit the lawn, you hit the bill. What was he trying to do? I don't know. Forgotten the history, though. This boob, this idiot who couldn't even hit the White House. Look, and nobody got, well, I think he got hurt, but on this day in 2011, the National September 11th on this day in 2011, the National September 11th Memorial and Museum in New York City opens to the public. You ever been? I've never been. Hey, I got to take a break here. Just for a second. I gotta turn the air conditioning on. It's actually too hot. Be right back. I don't have to go too far. All right, there you go. It's on now. And you can tell from my distance from the mic that I'm getting closer and that this ordeal is almost over. Yeah, I'm dragging it out a little bit now. I'm going to have a drink. Hiya. All right. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's going to do it for Erstwhile on this day. And now let us effortlessly move forward into celebrating the births of certain people. Let's do it. We call this Bwanum, Bwanum, Bwanum. They say it's their birthday. Born on this day in 1913, Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens, American sprinter and long jumper. He died back in 1980. My generation knew Jesse Owens because television and sports shows were being produced by old people. So when I was little, I watched sports documentaries about subjects old people thought were important. So I learned a lot about Jesse Owens. I wonder if Jesse Owens is forgotten to history. I have no idea if my son knows. I know my son knows who Usain Bolt is, but does my son know who Jesse Owens is? He's 14. Born on this day in 1913, Jesse Owens. Born on this day in 1931, old possum, George Jones, American singer, songwriter, guitarist, George Jones, old possum. So here's my problem with George Jones. Now, actually, not my problem with George Jones. I freaking love George Jones. George Jones is a nut. Just stay away from him, but just let him do his thing and then enjoy the accounts. They just did that miniseries on Showtime, George and Tammy. And it was a no-brainer for me. The George Jones-Tammy Wynette relationship is, I consider myself a bit of a historian. I've read multiple books. I mean, I've seen documentaries. I'm familiar with how nutso it was. So when Showtime said they were making a miniseries about this nutso relationship, and then they tell me they're casting Chastain and Shannon, Jessica Chastain, my favorite current working actress, as Tammy Wynette, I'm like, sign me up. And then it's Michael Shannon as George Jones. Are you kidding me? Michael Shannon, like one of my easily 5 favorite guys out there right now. Okay, so I was all in on the George and Tammy miniseries. Here's the problem. It sucked. It sucked. It sucked, man. Look, and you know why it sucked? Because I am very familiar with the story. And the way they told the story was so candy ass. It was like, we're going to make a story about George and Tammy and how crazy it was, but we're not going to tell people how crazy it was because we don't want people to not like them. The whole point is that you're supposed to be challenged by the idea of art versus artist when it comes to George Jones. He was a despicable person. And Tammy Wynette wasn't so great either. She was kind of, look, victim blaming, whatever. She was there for it. And they didn't handle it that way. They didn't tell the story the way the story really unfolded. They created this new Hollywood. These are icons of country music, and we're going to pander to the country music people who won't believe that this is just the way it was. And it wasn't. My God, this guy was like mainlining cocaine speedballs first thing in the morning and then knocking his wife around for 10 hours. Oh, he raised his hand to her once, and then he was so sad about it. No, he wasn't. He knocked her around for years. He was an incorrigible degenerate. And they didn't portray it that way. He was a degenerate who, man, did he have some pipes. And the man could perform. The man could interpret a song. I'm just saying that's all I'm telling you about the possum. So, Showtime had an opportunity with this mini-series to really challenge us in this whole notion of art versus artist, because he's undeniably great, but he's also undeniably an ass. George Jones, born on this day in 1931. Born on this day in 1940, How about the long-suffering wife of J.R. Ewing? That's right, Linda Gray. Was it Sue Ellen Ewing? Linda Gray, born on this day in 1940. Born on this day in 1944, Barry White. Barry White. I don't know, what do you say about Barry White? You guys love songs? I'm really not familiar with Barry White music. I do know that I was in Vegas once with my old boss, Kevin Matthews, and Kevin was playing blackjack at a high roller table, and Barry White was sitting at the high roller table with us. I mean, I was standing. I wasn't playing. I was just standing watching my boss play. And he was a little drunk, and he goes, "Hey, Pugs, it's Barry White." And I look and I go, "It is Barry White." And it really was Barry White. But here's the thing. I don't think my drunk boss knew it was really Barry White. I think my drunk boss just thought there's a guy here that looks just like Barry White. But it was Barry White. And because I was sober, I knew it was Barry White because I saw him signing autographs and stuff. It was funny. Hey, he's dead, didn't have much interaction with him, Anyway, Barry White, born on this day in 1944. Born on this day in 1952, no longer with us. This was a weird one. Okay, so this is one of them deals where my 14-year-old son found out he died like years after he died and got really upset like he was finding out about it for the first time. Neil Peart, drummer of Rush, was born on this day. My kid may or may not have been brainwashed from the crib into really digging Rush. Like, so from the early, other kids are getting nursery rhymes and stuff. My kid got Red Barchetta, it's just like a whole different kind of thing. So he loves Neil Peart. Happy birthday, Neil Peart. Born on this day in 1952, died in 2020. Born on this day in 1967, Louis C.K. Louis C.K., controversial, provocative Louis C.K. They canceled him. He lost all kinds of money, but luckily he's been able to make up a lot of that because there's, I guess, enough of us out here who are willing to separate art from the artist and truly enjoy the art for what it's worth. And he is the greatest comedian. Him and Dave Chappelle, another guy who is, and I don't know that it's because they've suffered the arrows slung by critics of comedy or because they're the ones willing to take the arrows first. But yeah, Louis C.K., born on this day in 1967. And, I have a lot of friends in comedy, and a lot of my comedy friends have sort of distanced themselves from him. They say openly that, oh, he's a brilliant comic. God, he's so great. He goes, I can't be friends with him anymore. So it's that kind of thing. I've always had an incredibly good relationship with him. Let me frame this. I mean, those who remember the old show know that Louis was on all the time. When his show Louis was on FX, he would call weekly and we would talk about the episode. I mean, he was good. He was great. Whenever he'd come to town, he would hang out with us, and he was fun. He was nice. But see, I recognize that, my relationship with him is transactional. He doesn't, I mean, if I didn't have a radio show in the town where he was trying to sell tickets, he wouldn't be really nice to me. So, maybe my judgment of him is a little bit clouded, but I think he's a great guy. Happy birthday. Now, again, having said that, the minute I lost a show, I haven't heard from him. Haven't heard from him in 10, 15 years. So it's transactional. So maybe my opinion of him as being just a really nice man, really good dude, fun guy, cool guy to hang out with, just sit around and talk. He's nice. He's good. I like him. Brilliant. His comedy blows me away. But then, again, I didn't see the other side. And maybe there is another side. Maybe there's not. I don't know. Moving on. Happy birthday, Louis C.K. Born on this day in 1967. Born on this day in 1973. Paul Walker, American actor. He died in 2013. He died in a very Paul Walker kind of way. I have a theory about this. I know nothing about it. I mean, I know how he died. Paul Walker, star of the Fast and the Furious movies, a movie about glorifying driving recklessly, died in a car accident while they were driving recklessly for no reason. So Paul Walker, obviously Fast and the Furious, he's big at these car shows. So he goes to a lot of these supercar shows, and he was at one. I believe this was in Southern California. Might have been Vegas. I don't know. 10 years ago. Paul Walker goes to one of these shows, and somebody's got a car. Hey, Paul, you got to see my Porsche, right? Because Paul Walker's an actor who does car movies, so every idiot thinks that he's like, the car expert. Paul, you got to see my car. So here's what I think. I think this was maybe a rich guy who Paul was being forced to be nice to. Like, remember I just told you the story about, Louis C.K.? Like, maybe this was like a transactional relationship. Why Paul was like, why when the dude went, come on, Paul, get in my supercharged Porsche. Let's go for a ride in the parking lot, right? When the guy did that, Paul was like, yeah, all right. Now, again, this is all my theory. He gets in. Of course, the guy's trying to impress Paul Walker. Look at how fast it goes. And they both died. Did they both die? I don't even know. I know Paul Walker died. He's the only one I care about. He seemed like a good dude. Terrible way to end. It is up there. Paul Walker dying in a fiery supercar wreck is right up there with Jim Finks, the jogging, advocate, dying of a heart attack while jogging. It's right up there with. Okay. Born on this day, Paul Walker, 1973. Born on this day in 1981, Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson, Jennifer Hudson's been through some hell. I root for this girl. Remember, she was big, heavy set girl America fell in love with on American Idol. And she came in second, and everybody was like, she should have won. Except she didn't. But then 2 years later, she won an Oscar. She's like Academy Award winner. So, it's like way bigger than winning American Idol. So she's got that. And then so she's like, I'm feeling really good. They didn't think I was the best on American Idol, but Hollywood has given me this golden trophy. And now I'm an Oscar winner. And this puts me in a whole different category of celebrity, because even if I die tomorrow or if I die in 100 years, it's going to say Academy Award winning actress. That's a big thing. That is So she's riding that high, and then her family gets slaughtered. Yeah. Jennifer Hudson's whole thing. What are you doing? Hey! You're never going to get back out of there. Oh, this damn dog. She just bum rushed her way through the studio setup. Really? Is this worth it? Is this really worth it? See, she got all the way back in the corner. Hey, look at me. Bring your head up. That's CeeLo. She's a Catahoula. She sucks. But I love her. But, she sucks the way dogs suck. The way we love them. That's where you're going to choose. Okay. So the Suez Canal. There's like this really narrow pass that is like surrounded by all this dangerous stuff. I call it the Suez Canal. That's where she has decided that she is going to lay. Right in the middle of the most dangerous. That's you good? If you're good, I'm good. Okay, let's move on. Sorry, dog problems. Jennifer Hudson's whole family got slaughtered. Oh God! Like in some crazy, like Jennifer Hudson's sister's ex-husband was mad about a custody arrangement show. He showed up at their house and killed everybody. Girl's been through a lot, is my point. Happy birthday, Jennifer Hudson. You seem like a lovely girl. Born on this day in 1986. Here's somebody represents South Side, although she's not at all. Emmy Rossum, ladies and gentlemen. Emmy Rossum. Fiona Gallagher from Shameless. I don't know if you guys watch Shameless. Fiona Gallagher. She's badass. Man, here's what I love. Here's what I love about Emmy Rossum. And it drives me nuts because anytime I see her in anything else, she's like a fancy elitist ballerina. Like that's where she was raised. That's where she comes from. Like high society. Like she was supposed to be a ballerina. Like went to all the great ballerina stuff, but then I think she got injured, so she became an actress. Okay, so that's the real person. She portrayed a dead-on depiction of a badass South Side of Chicago Irish big sister. That was like, I'm like, I remember when I first saw her, I'm looking her up. I'm like, where's she from? She's got to be from Bridgeport, right? Because there's no way. She's got the accent. She's got the attitude. She's got the swagger. She's got the don't F with that chick. She's got 15 brothers and, she probably won't even need them. Anyway, happy birthday, Emmy Rossum. I love her. She's terrific. Also, happy birthday, somebody else that I absolutely adore. I don't know much about her. I just know, she's got, first of all, she's gorgeous. She's absolutely gorgeous. Undeniably gorgeous. But no, look, being gorgeous is a dime a dozen. Sydney Sweeney can act. She can also act. This girl is like, I don't know, like what kind of trajectory would I put her on? I would put her on right now. If I'm like king of Hollywood, I would say, Sydney Sweeney, I like what she's doing. Let's put her in the Jessica Lange trajectory. Let's put her in the lane of the beautiful woman who could very easily just become Pam Anderson if she wanted. But let's see if we can't get her some Oscars. And I think that's the trajectory that Hollywood has placed Sydney Sweeney on, and I couldn't be more here for it. All right, that's going to do it for birthdays. Now is the part of the show where we like to look at the people who died. That's right. We look at dead people, and then we decide, are they in heaven or hell? It's a fun little moment for us. We get to sit in judgment. It's probably not binding. I don't know if this is actually where they go, but hey, let's do it, right? Okay, people who died on this day. We've only got a couple. Excuse me, here come the hiccups. On this day in 1992, Anthony Perkins passed away. Anthony Perkins, singer, actor. So Anthony Perkins. So let's talk about Anthony Perkins. Okay, Psycho. He's Norman Bates, most famous for Psycho. Also, Jimmy Pearsall, Fear Strikes Out. Oh, one of my favorite baseball movies. They used to make a lot of baseball movies. Like there was like in the 1950s and 60s, there was a baseball movie every couple of months. They don't do that anymore. Now I got to sit around and wait for Kevin Costner to get the itch. Fear Strikes Out. He played Jimmy Pearsall. Jimmy Pearsall was a real Major League Baseball player who was crazy. And, I mean, crazy, like, hoo-hoo, cuckoo. Like should be it was placed in a rubber room and, institutionalized and all that stuff. But, it was the 50s. So, pull yourself up, knock it off. Yeah, you're talking to somebody in your head. And the cure for it in 1950 was knock it off, which didn't always work. So he was great. Anthony Perkins was so good as Jimmy Pearsall. Couldn't play baseball. Looked terrible in the baseball scenes, like threw badly, like Jimmy Pearsall was an athlete now. And he hit, like the batting scenes are really funny. Much maligned, the baseball in the movie Fear Strikes Out, but it's really good. So he did that. He did Psycho. Was he also involved? Was Anthony Perkins involved in Planet of the Apes? He was, wasn't he? Somehow? Wasn't Anthony Perkins involved? No. That's Roddy McDowell. I get Roddy McDowell and Anthony Perkins. All right, let's just put him in heaven and beyond. Okay, let's just be done with it. He was Norman Bates. I don't know anything about Anthony Perkins. Dead on this day in 1992, Anthony Perkins, you're going to heaven. Just because I'm tired of talking about you, and I couldn't through my... See, that's what we do. We start talking about someone, we start thinking about someone, and then we remember things like, oh, that's right, he stabbed that guy, right? So that's how we decide. And I got tired of it with Anthony Perkins, so we're just putting him in heaven. Sometimes that happens. Couldn't find any dirt on him. Not that I was thinking. Dead on this day in 1993, Raymond Burr, Old Ironsides. Perry Mason. Well, I don't remember Perry Mason because I'm not, older, but I'm old. So I remember Ironsides. Raymond Burr was an actor. He was okay. So I had to look this up, and I guess it's common knowledge now. But I had a friend, and by friend I mean a guy who used to do our radio show in Chicago. I had a friend who was a professional football player. I'm not gonna say his name because he's still high profile. I had a friend who was a professional football player. He played for the Bears, and he's a local celebrity in Chicago, and he's still very high profile. But he used to tell a story about. He lived in Hawaii, and he used to tell a story about how his neighbor was Raymond Burr. So going back to like the mid 90s, even before it was cool to be out and all that stuff. Yeah, we were hearing stories. My host, guy by the name of Kevin Matthews, genius, going into the Radio Hall of Fame this year. my host had an entire, career-long running bit of where he would say, "Is it wrong?" To signify like a guy that was bi-curious. Like, is it wrong? And I believe it started. I believe the first one was a story that this person had told us. This football player had told us about how Raymond Burr met him at the end of his driveway wearing a bathrobe and nothing else, just a bathrobe, and the bathrobe was untied. So. And this guy was a young professional football player who was, a surfer, and, so Raymond Burr's like, "Hey, howdy, neighbor," like Perry Mason, Ironsides, "Howdy, neighbor." So my host always had this running, "Is it wrong?" He would do it in the voice of Raymond Burr. He's like, "Is it wrong for a man to not feel the need to tie his bathrobe when he greets a neighbor at the end of the driveway. If that's wrong, I want to be wrong. Anyways, a long running bit. But yeah, it comes from that. And like I said, I was like, well, Perry Mason, he's kind of an icon. Like, can I just say that, or is that still a story? And no, he's gay. No, he's totally gay. He's been out in past. Apparently, he left everything to his partner of like 50 years. So there you go. Anyway, I just always thought that was interesting about Raymond Burr. Hey, I got no problem with that. Raymond Burr can go to heaven. I don't care. Dead on this day in 2003, Johnny Cash. We had to do this one. This is a big one. This is one we're going to have to work through because on paper, I have to say, Johnny Cash goes to hell. Come on, we saw the movie. Johnny Cash was not a good person. He was tormented by demons. He'd been through some serious trauma as a kid. Again, trauma that in the 1930s they went, oh, come on, get up and dust yourself off. Meanwhile, he's in a shirt stained with the blood and innards of his little brother. Come on, Johnny, get over it. So you ain't got a brother no more. Anyway, Johnny Cash went through some stuff, and he was a tormented dude, and he acted out in antisocial ways, and I don't know, heaven or hell. On paper, you look at Johnny Cash, he goes to hell, but then you think, oh my God. There's got to be there's got to be an existential view that we can take of someone who has made the cultural contribution that a man like Johnny Cash has. And so I make that distinction. And because of the joy he's created, his slate gets wiped clean and Johnny Cash goes to heaven. Look at that. All three go to heaven. Anthony Perkins, Raymond Burr, and Johnny Cash all go to heaven today. All right. Very good. Look at us being positive. Isn't that nice? Sure is. All right, let's move into the topics. And early in the month, it's not actually early, it's the 12th. I'd like to remind you that this show runs on your gratuity. So anything you would feel compelled to tip and drop in. Thank you to Terry. Terry, see, this is what I love. Terry dropped the fin. Terry just dropped. He listened to the show yesterday, dropped the fin after the show. That's all we got, and that's fine because you got us across the line, and I'm not going to be a televangelist on this for a couple of days. But if you're thinking about it and you think, you know what, yeah, let's drop a little something. That's how this show runs. I will leave up the PayPal, the Pugs Cast, the Cash App, all that stuff, the Venmo. Yeah, don't even worry about PayPal. I go to PayPal every once in a while. It says zero, and I forget about it. All right, so let's get into the topics. This is what we do here. Let's run through all the things that people are talking about today of all days. How about the Iran deal? That's right. That's a big story. Apparently, we have made a deal with Iran. Look, again, you want in-depth coverage of this? Go somewhere else. This is just, I'm going to give you the cocktail party knowledge. So here's how it works. So the Iran deal, we're giving them $6 billion in frozen oil money assets. That means it's money that, we've seized money. So if I were to say, so it's money that they generated off international and sometimes illegal oil sales that we then impounded. I mean, if I were to say it's their money, would you guys go nuts and be like, it's not their money? And so, well, it is. It is their money. They made oil. They processed the oil. They sold the oil. And then when the money was coming back to them, because of international sanctions, it was taken away. So that's what we're talking about here. We're not giving, because I don't want it to be $6 billion of my taxpayer dollars. Stop. That could be the thing. So anyway, all they're doing is releasing funds from a bunch of banks that have been frozen and held by international courts. So what do we get in return? Apparently, we're getting 6 hostages. Look, I don't know. Unless the news gins us up, we don't know about hostages. I mean, I woke up this morning thinking, okay, we're not concerned about any one hostage anywhere. So that must mean that Americans are free and clear across the globe. Nope. Wake up this morning and find out that apparently we got six over there in Iran that ain't nobody been talking about for like a long time. And now we're going to get them back. We also apparently have to give them a couple of people we arrested over here. So, whatever. But hey, like I said, you want some politicized view of this story? You can go anywhere else. I don't know. We're making a deal with Iran. We're getting people back. Don't politicize it. It's not taxpayer dollars. Okay. I already saw that once. I already saw that this morning on a tweet. It's not taxpayer dollars. It's not money that's even in U.S. hands. It's frozen in international accounts by the World Court. Biden's just giving my tax dollars. Stop it. Okay. Kim Jong-un has arrived in Russia. Guess what he's doing there? I mean, we thought maybe it was just, hey, buddy. No. Putin's buying weapons. Putin is reduced to buying weapons from Kim Jong-un, who, he's got the slave labor. So apparently this could be a lucrative market for old Kim. He's got the slave labor over there. They're all starving, but, I imagine a lot of it's automated. I mean, how strong do you have to be to hit a button? So he's just cranking out weapons, and no one in the world will buy from him because they're one of the isolated nations. So now Kim's over there in Russia. He arrived in Russia. He got off a train. You don't fly? What's that about? He arrives in Russia, and apparently that's what it is. So Russia's going to buy some weapons from North Korea. Cool. Aaron Rodgers is trending. Oh, my God, you guys. Now, you've been with me for the past few weeks, so you know that I have been very public in my comings and goings, and I like him and I hate him and all this with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a very complicated personality when it comes to me. Of course, I'm a Bears fan. He was a Packer. He owns us. He says he owns us. We all accepted it. We didn't push back on it. We went, yeah, you do. Do you have to say it out loud? So he drives us nuts. He owns us. He owns me. Then he does Hard Knocks. He goes to the Jets, right? And first of all, the Jets are loaded, man. The Jets are loaded with talent. And all they needed was a quarterback. All they needed was a wily veteran. All they needed was a guy who could game manage the hell out of a really talented team. And that's what they got in Aaron Rodgers. And Hard Knocks on HBO did an entire, a series on not the Jets, on basically Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it was all about Aaron Rodgers. Oh, were we excited, right? We were like, this is okay. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers did a complete brand reclamation on Hard Knocks. Aaron Rodgers, who, had been a fairly polarizing character the past 18 months to 2 years, suddenly goes on Hard Knocks, and you got me, somebody who readily admits that he owned us as quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, who hates him with every fiber of my football-loving body. You got me watching Hard Knocks going, you know what? Maybe Aaron Rodgers is all right. So very excited. So here's what I do. Oh, my God. So I have comedy class last night. Now, Aaron Rodgers is going to take the field from New York Jets. They're going to take on at home on September 11th, the Buffalo Bills, an incredibly talented team in their own right and division rival. And I got to go to stupid comedy class. I'm going to miss the whole damn thing. So I go dark, turn the phone off. I do my comedy class. I record the game. I come back. I talk to nobody. I listen to no radio. I don't want to hear any scores. And then about 11 o'clock last night, after the big Aaron Rodgers entrance, I don't even know what was it. God bless America. He's running out onto the field with the flag. We got jets flying over. We got fireworks going off. We have an absolutely electrified MetLife Stadium. This is the year, baby. Hey, Buffalo Bills, sorry, but your window is closing, and it's our year. And the Jets take the field, and they are amped. Oh, the energy was great. I'm sitting there. I'm watching it on tape 3 hours after everybody else has already won. I'm watching it on tape. I'm going, yeah. In like 3 plays in the Aaron Rodgers first drive, he gets sacked. And we were all stunned, right? I mean, this was for football fans, for, American football fans, which is a whole lot of us. It's a very big night. We all tuned in. It was a record audience. It was a crazy audience for Monday Night Football's debut. Because we'd all been ginned up about the Aaron Rodgers. Oh my God. We wiped this. I'm a Bear fan, and I wiped the slate clean on him. I was like, fine, let him go do that because you know what? Also, can I talk about the New York Jets for a second? I kind of like the New York Jets and always have. I identify the New York Jets as being sort of like, okay, so there's a cat. So I'm a White Sox fan. I'm a Chicago White Sox fan, baseball, right? So the White Sox are not the Cubs. The Cubs are like, A-list, right? The Cubs have Disney sponsorships and stuff, but I'm a White Sox fan, and we're a bit edgier. We're on the South Side. It's a bit more dangerous down there. That's how I see the Jets. Like, I see the Jets as that to the Giants. So I always root for those teams. It's why I root for Manchester City in the Premier League, because Manchester City isn't Man United. Man United had Beckham and all those guys, and they're the Cubs in Manchester. And then you got Man City. They're like, so I like the Jets. So I'm all in. And then 3 plays in, Aaron Rodgers. God. Oh. And you know the very first thing that I said? Not said, because I'm not crazy. I was watching it by myself. The very first thing that I thought, I went, holy shit. Leonard Floyd just wrecked Aaron Rodgers' season. Now, that's crazy because, of course, Leonard Floyd played most of his career with the Chicago Bears. Leonard Floyd played most of his career being owned by Aaron Rodgers. Now, both of them are on new teams, and I know Leonard Floyd had the Rams in between for a couple of years. But Leonard, it was a Chicago Bear that absolutely wrecked it was a former Chicago Bear who wrecked former Green Bay Packer. And by the way, here's the other thing about this, because I've been watching this tape. It's serious too, by the way. It's very serious. It's not like when he went down, when he got hurt. I thought for a moment, like, he looked fine, and then he sat down, and I thought, okay, what's he doing? I'm thinking, is he trying to slow the game down? Is he trying to? Is it a timeout for a reason? Is somebody need a breather? What's he doing? He's being a leader. He's Aaron Rodgers. He's got to have a plan. And then it was like, oh, crap, he's hurt. Oh, my God. And then, of course, we were all watching, and none of us wanted to believe it. Right? We were all like, oh, he'll just sit out of play. Oh, good. Oh, look. My first one was like, oh, good. Look, Zach Wilson's going to get a shot. Cute. That's going to be cute. And I figured Zach Wilson might play a series. And then Aaron Rodgers would come back and he'd be banged up or whatever, but he's a warrior. He's a football player. He's been doing this for 20 years or whatever. He'd be back. No, not back. Not back. Serious. Then we start to see the close-ups of the actual injury. And we literally watch something in the back of his calf pop out of his sock. Oh, you didn't see that in real time. Did not notice that in real time. But when they slow it down and they focus on his back, his left calf, yeah, so it's a ruptured something inside that calf unfurled. So it's looking like he's gone for a while. The jokes are, the full Aaron Rodgers season highlights for 2023 and Tim running out on the field with a flag and then getting sacked. Not funny, terrible, and tragic. And here's the other thing. There's so much about this situation. First of all, Leonard Floyd, who, by the way, isn't great. He's been on 3 teams now in the past 4 seasons, right? So he played his first 4 years with the Chicago Bears. We drafted him in the first round. He was pretty good as a rookie. And then, he started to tail off. And then he went to the Rams, and he was next to Aaron Donald. And, he did a little bit because he was next to Aaron Donald. But he's not great. He's not a game wrecker. Never has been. Not since his rookie year. So now he's on the Buffalo Bills. Again, he's not a game wrecker. He's now at the stage of his career where he's, probably about to be the much traveled Leonard Floyd. You know what I mean? Maybe a couple more teams he'll hook on with before he's done. He's serviceable. He's decent. He's fine. He's never been a game wrecker. He was good when he was opposite Aaron Donald, and he was good with Chicago when he was completely ineffective when he was with Khalil Mack. So anyway, the fact that it's that guy that did it, and then that it was that guy who did it against Dwayne Brown. Dwayne Brown was the left tackle that just completely got smoked by Leonard Floyd, which allowed him this hit. And by the way, that hit wasn't like oh my God, he crushed him. No, he fell funny. The injury occurred when Rodgers was trying to escape what was a fairly non-violent sacking. So Dwayne Brown is the left tackle. Dwayne Brown was just signed to the Jets a couple of weeks ago. He's replacing Mekhi Becton, who's one of the better left tackles in the league. So this was already a guy. Oh my God, could you imagine being Dwayne Brown? Imagine being Dwayne Brown today. You've only been on the team for 2 weeks, and it's because you allowed Leonard Floyd to blow you up. That's the other thing. Football players know. Football players like Leonard Floyd. You let Leonard Floyd blow you up and destroy Aaron Rodgers. Here, I want to show you this. This is some pretty heavy shit. And it's cringy, but we've all been there. And luckily, I am not a Jets fan, but I'm a White Sox fan and a Bears fan. So I've seen it. I've been through the nonsense. I want to show you guys this. These are a bunch of Jet fans watching the game. I think this might be Barstool guys or something. Anyway, it's a group. They stream their game watching parties. This is a group of Jets fans. Start of the game. They're not even drunk yet. There's 11, 12 minutes left on the clock. This is Jet fans reacting in real time as it happens. And it is so cringe, you guys, because we all know what happens. We all know. Here, check this out.
Oh, no. No! There's no way! There's no way!
I don't root for interest.
There's no way!
No, he's doing that because
All right, so I love the guy in the Jets jersey. This guy right here. See, this guy with the backwards hat. He is, oh, this poor baby. He is so optimistic. He is so wanting to believe the best. That it's cute. And then it's heartbreaking when he realizes that he just can't be this much of an idiot and that it's obvious that Rodgers is hurt. So watch him. He's great.
There's no way!
I don't root for interest.
There's no way!
No, he's doing that because he's stuck.
No, he's hurt.
No, he's
I
not.
can't do this.
He's hurt.
I
No.
can't do this, Plumber.
He's 100%
I can't do this.
No,
I cannot live this
There's
way.
no way!
Wait, what do you mean?
no, he's doing that he's doing that to like slow down the game. Like the
That's what I thought.
He's sitting on the ground.
No.
Sucking down.
no, he got look. His foot got stepped on.
It's twisted. Look at that.
All right, so now they're seeing the replay of what happened, and it's starting to sink in that, oh, he really is hurt.
I didn't see anything that was
That foot was a little bit awkward.
If he's fucking hurt,
Okay, now for Jetsman right here, it's sinking in. Now it's sinking in, and now he's running through all of the stages of grief. Right now, he's at anger. He's at anger. He was at disbelief, but now he's at anger.
I'm going.
I thought you guys groomed Zach Wilson.
He's gonna start. Shut the fuck up.
What?
Oh my
No!
God. Oh my God. Yo, I'm telling you, that guy, he just tore his Achilles or something.
This is unbelievable. This is the most.
But is it? But it's not.
You're right.
It's
You're
the
right.
most fucking. But this is why I don't do it. This is why I don't do it,
There's no way.
bro. This is why.
It's the slow burn of realization. Second by second, they receive more information that is not good for them in their Jets fandom, and they are just simmering.
I don't do it.
Doesn't matter about the Jets.
What the fuck? I
Okay, that's it. Oh man, why do we do it? Why do we do it? Why was I in a bad mood all Sunday evening? Like a real pissy mood. Like I fought with my kid because my kid was in a bad mood. My kid wanted to know why I did this to him. And he's right. He is absolutely right. My kid's like, Dad, there is no natural reason for me to be a Chicago Bears fan and I have my heart broken like this. Says to me, why did you do this to me? And I go, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it to you. Like he cares. He was so angry. He was by the first half, when we were all still like as Bear, we lost to the Packers and it was bad. We Bear fans at the end of the first half, we were like, okay, all right, we're gonna make these adjustments. We're here. This is not a blowout. We're in this game. We're down, I think we're down 6 or 3 or something at halftime. So we're like, we're good. We're good. He texted me at that moment. He texted, I'm done with this team, Dad. I'm like, oh God. Apparently he's a kid, and apparently he had been running his mouth about this and that, and apparently some of his friends were also watching the game and they were giving him garbage, and it's anyway, that's what we do it for, right? That's why we're fans. Aaron Rodgers, what is the latest on Aaron Rodgers? Just we'll get you the medical report here. I mean, he's done. There's no way. There's no way. Aaron Rodgers injury update. MRI. Blah, 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 blah. When was this updated? Okay, well, this is 2 hours old. So, Aaron Rodgers injury update. MRI reveals Jet quarterback suffered a complete tear of the Achilles tendon. That's his season. That's over. That's over. He's done. It's all of that hype, all of that ginning up. Aaron Rodgers as a Jet. Jets. Jets. That's all over with. Wow. Man, this is the sports equivalent to just walking down the street and having a brain aneurysm go off and kill you. This is like the 2023 NFL season version of someone just dropping dead unexpectedly. We were primed for an entire year of Aaron Rodgers leading this incredibly talented Jets team to glory. And after 3 snaps, it was like, how many plays? Was it 3 plays? I think it was the first drive. Oh, my God. It is a complete tear of the Achilles tendon. Oh, my God. And he's old, man. He's older. Is this the kind of injury that ends it? You know what I mean? When you're his age, I mean, he's into all of the, self-exploration and all that kind of stuff. Do you need, I think he can come, but does he want, oh, man, this is a bad injury to come back from. New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers' 2023 season is over, but before it ever got started. After the quarterback was injured on his 4th play of the Jets opening game, head coach Robert Saleh told reporters that they feared the 4-time NFL MVP tore his Achilles tendon. That is what was ultimately discovered following an MRI Tuesday morning. It's not good, Saleh said to reporters. The injury will be season-ending. On the Jets' first drive Monday night, Rodgers was injured and helped off the field by trainers. After a visit to the blue medical tent, he was carted to the locker room after initially being labeled as questionable to return with an ankle injury. He was later downgraded to out. The Jets announced that his x-rays were negative. Rodgers suffered, so no bone breaks, but, x-rays don't tell you when your Achilles tendon is gone. Rodgers suffered the injury after being sacked by veteran pass rusher, the much-traveled veteran pass rusher, Leonard Floyd, on a 1st and 10 with 11:40 remaining in the first quarter. While it appeared at first that Rodgers was okay, he went back down to the turf while officials stopped the play. Here, we'll look at it. For those of you who didn't see it, we'll show it to you. It is kind of like the big American story of the day. Boom, bum, 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 bum. All right, here we go. All right, so here's the play. Let's get it for you. Ooh, boom.
Years with the Rams, the former first-round pick of the Bears, and now Rodgers sits down.
All right, here he is after the play. He's standing. He's been sacked. He's standing. I guess they're not going to show us the sack. So he's standing, and everything seems fine, and he's shaking his head at the sideline. I mean, it's got to mean, okay, something's wrong, because then he sits down. So here's how it plays out.
Years with the Rams, the former first-round pick of the Bears, and now Rodgers sits down. A loss of 10 on the play, and hopefully the Jets are thinking that's the only loss on that play.
He's so calm.
See what happened at the end of it.
All right, so it's this guy right here, Brown, who's in from Mekhi Becton, and he just completely whiffs on Floyd coming right here. It's over. It's over at this point. There he goes. Completely whiffed. A hack emergency replacement left tackle replacing Mekhi Becton, going up against much-traveled veteran, and look at him, just wide open, just a clear shot. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't exceptionally violent as far as sacks go.
Take a look here at the very end, and
look, he just pulls him down to the ground.
Hard to.
That's like Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt's crash. When we all saw Dale Earnhardt's crash, we're like, that couldn't possibly kill him.
Take a look here at the very end, and hard to.
That's where it's up.
Hard to see. Of course, he had the calf issue in training camp, but here's a little better look as far as what might have happened for him to go back down to the ground.
He's coming out of the game.
I know what I'm looking for. I don't know if you guys know what you're looking for, but it popped again. You can see it pop when you're looking right at the left calf. And it balls up.
That means
that angle.
That a few plays into game one, Zach Wilson, the former number 2 overall pick from BYU, who's made 22 starts in the NFL, has thrown.
All right, there you have it. He knows. Aaron Rodgers knew at that point. I mean, you know your body. You know what's going on. I was going to say that's terrible news, but you know what? That's a football. Football gonna football. All right, where are we now? Let's see here. Okay, so we're still looking for the Chester County prisoner who broke out there in Chester County, Pennsylvania, about 30 miles outside of Philadelphia. Danilo Cavalcante, today's update. He's been seen a couple more times. It's just like, he's like the worst Sasquatch ever. Like, everybody's seeing him. He's everywhere. Nobody can catch him, though. So it's now like 14 days, 2 weeks since he escaped. And remember the cops, they were like, he's not more than 2 miles. So they set up a perimeter 2 miles around the prison, and they looked there for like 2 weeks. And then they went, I'm thinking he's outside the 2 mile perimeter. And of course he was, because they found a stolen van that he took 20 miles away. So he's free. He's out there running around. You know what I mean? He seems to be going and coming and doing whatever he wants. Here's the update today, though. He's now armed. He's now armed because he's still breaking into houses late at night to steal food and clothes and stuff like that. So far, he hasn't hurt anybody. But he's armed now. He stole a gun. He stole a rifle from a rifle with a scope, a laser scope. From some responsible gun owner who obviously didn't have a gun lock in his house. And so when the guy broke in, he stole the gun. There you go. Hey, Second Amendment guy. Why wasn't this guy's gun secured? You gun guys, get on him. So now Danilo Cavalcante is running around with a laser scope on a rifle. So that's the update on this. It's been 2 weeks. They keep focusing on this same. It's driving me nuts. They are back to focusing on this, and I know this because I watch like the air traffic above it. You can go to that Flight Tracker 24 and you can see all the planes. What? Hey, let's do that right now. Why not? Well, we'll look at it. Here, we'll show you what I mean. All right, here we go. Boop, boop, boop. Ooh, we used to do this one in the early days of the war. Remember that? Remember when we used to watch the flight trackers? That was always fun. Okay, let's do this. I'll show you the area. And it was driving me nuts because it's the area, it's within 2 miles of the prison, the area that we know that he gets in and out of. But for some reason, they think he's here. All right, so where's Philadelphia? Philadelphia. There we go. There's Pennsylvania. There's Allentown. Okay, stop it. I don't want to click on that one. Nope, don't want that one. Nope, don't want it. Let's get rid of it. There we go. All right, Philadelphia. All right, so this is the area right here. So let's go in. Chester Springs, West Chester. So yeah, so it's Chester County. Let's see what the most trike flat. Yeah. Okay. So I know. So this is the most tracked flight in the world right now. And it's this little private plane that seems to be doing these donuts over this particular. So here we got a search helicopter. This is probably a cop, right? No. Oh, it's Skyforce 10. Skyforce 10. What is this? Okay. So it's private owner. It's probably, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. This is the guy. Okay, so this is it. None of it's available, so that means he's law enforcement or something. So look at this. So it's this area here. We're still down by the river. This is where they've been looking for 2 weeks, and they're still doing it. All right. So anyway, that's the update. He's got a gun now. This is crazy. I don't understand why this isn't a bigger story. It's very exciting. Some network should just go live with the coverage of this 3 hours a night until he's caught. It'll be a phenomenon. But, whatever. Here's an interesting story that's trending today. Record weather disasters. That's right. This year we've set a new record for weather disasters globally, not just around it, but globally. And we've still got 4 months left in the year. They're like, we're going to crush this thing. We're not just, we're just not going to beat it. Like here in I don't know, has it been crazier than usual? Like Hawaii, that was really bad, right? Burning Man, they were inconvenienced. Now I know tornadoes destroyed the Midwest and Tennessee and Kentucky in the spring, and it was like the heaviest tornado damage ever caused in America in one season. So anyway, there you go. Bad record weather. Bad weather. disasters. Hollywood strike. The Hollywood strike is still trucking along. Yesterday, I brought you the story of how Drew Barrymore no longer wants to be on strike. So she's just going to start doing her show because she wants to start doing her show. Well, guess what? That's all it took. All it took was one person. Why? Because what is the famous saying? Pioneers get the arrows, settlers get the land. Drew Barrymore was the pioneer. She came out and she said, as it turns out, I really don't care about standing in solidarity with the writers. Like, so she came out and said that, basically, by saying she's going to go back into production with her show. So she took the arrows for that. And then that was yesterday's story, and everybody's angry at Drew Barrymore, and Drew Barrymore is the representation of that, of people who are just turning on the writers. That's what she is. So now, 24 hours later, other people are like, hey, let's settle on the land. And that's what we got now. Now we got a bunch of settlers, and guess what? They all come from the world of daytime syndicated TV. Daytime syndicated TV producers are now following Drew Barrymore, and she will lead them. What do we got? We got The Talk. Apparently The Talk, the CBS panel show, The Talk, which seems to be like a Kirkland version of The View. The Talk is going back into production. The Jennifer Hudson show, who a lady who I just sang the praises of. She's been through a lot. She's got a show. I didn't know she had a show. That ain't good. That ain't well, but here's the thing. Here's why it's good. Okay, so I guess so I look at Jennifer Hudson. She's an Oscar winner, which is a very big deal, which means that, any movie that puts her in it can now advertise Academy Award winner. I mean, that's a big thing to them because they think it draws people. They think it makes the product classy. I think it makes the product worthy of, So anyway, so she can be doing that. She can be doing the acting, but instead she went to daytime TV, which is like the lowest rung. However, I mean, because it's like totally not respectable. And it's, anyway, here's why she did it. Because she can go off and she can be in Hollywood and she can be Academy Award winning Jennifer Hudson in a supporting role. And she can, she can make millions of dollars a year and she'll be an actress, a working actress who's revered and respected. Or she can go into daytime syndication and be a billionaire within 2 years. So, that's what Oprah did. That's what Rosie did. That's what Ellen did. That's what they all do. If you can click in this particular format, daytime talk show, and if you're a big enough name at the outset, that means you're going to be an executive producer and co-owner of the show. That means syndication money, baby. Woo! You're going to get rich. So that's what Jennifer Hudson's doing, I guess. Didn't know it, but she is. So there you go. So a bunch of So fear not. I know you're waiting for the next season of Yellowstone to debut, but fear not. You'll have plenty of daytime talk shows to watch because they're coming back. Here's a fun story coming out of the great state of Virginia. We've got a Virginia House candidate. She's running for a House. Well, that's what she's running for. She's a Virginia House candidate. I don't know why I felt I needed to say more. Virginia House candidate performed sex acts with her husband on a webcam for tips. All right, so I don't need to go into the whole story, but I'll give you the basic rundown. A Virginia candidate for the state's House of Delegates performed sex acts with her husband online and asked her virtual audience to pitch in with tips. Well, now that's not a crime. I ask you to pitch in with tips. That's how this show funds itself for the past 2 years, heading into year 3. Not doing anything sexy, though. I mean, but it's not off the table. I mean, What do you... No, never mind. I won't go there. I was about to go into some really dark off-color comedy. Susanna Gibson, a mother of 2 young children who is running in a competitive race to represent District 57 in Richmond, showed quite a bit more than skin on the adult streaming website Chatterbait. According to screenshots of archived, so basically, here's what happened. So look, we're getting this with young people, man. People are complicated. People are more libertine with their sexual peccadillos. So you got this chick. She's running for. Apparently, she's involved in local politics down there in Virginia. She's running for a seat in the state Congress. And it just so happens that her and her handsome lawyer husband, they got their money. They're moneyed people. They're like weird suburban swinger type people. These people exist. Hot tub people, come on over and join us in the hot tub, The fat neighbors never get invited, but, So they're like swinging sex people. And they now, is it, here's what I would ask. Is it important to know this aspect of their lifestyle before you entrust them with making decisions at the state level? And I think it is. I think it really is. I think that so you can say, well, who cares? We should leave her alone because, these are your moral hang-ups. Well, they may in fact be my moral hang-ups as well, but they're also the moral hang-ups of, I imagine, a very large portion of the people who live in Virginia. I'm not an outlier thinking that, you should maybe be a little bit more demure in your sexuality, but whatever. Well, I don't judge. You can do it if you want. I just am telling you that I'm not going to vote for you to back the best interests of my child and my community when I know that you're kind of a weirdo freak. That's just it with me. You're a weirdo freak. It's like Andrew Cuomo. I never really had an opinion on Andrew Cuomo until I found out that he had nipple rings in a chain. Like nipple rings and they were in chain. No. That is information that I didn't have. That tells me a whole lot about who you really are, because we acknowledge that this is a facade. Your political image is a facade. I'm smart enough to know that this is bullshit. And the little glimpses that you give me into who you really are, that's fine. I'll make my judgment based on all of that. But when you don't tell me that you've got nipple clamps and that I got to change the way I think about you now. And you might be a fine person and we can be friends. But again, I don't know that I want you making decisions for everybody. You've got nipple clamps, and that just strikes me as weird. So Susanna Gibson down there in Virginia, she apparently used to be like an OnlyFans. What's the thing called? Chatterbait. I don't know what that is, but apparently she's like, do you want me to do my husband for and then I guess what? Tips come in? I mean... So that's happening down there in Virginia. And she is saying, my sexuality and my sex life is perfectly normal and off board for discussion. And, I don't know that it is. If you are running to represent the people and you are ostensibly going to represent the people's values and morals and all that stuff, I think you need to stand up to the scrutiny. Now, embrace it. And by the way, it's true. I mean, this is not she's not like, I didn't do it. No, it's true. Okay, so talk about it. So explain to us instead of just digging in and talking about some bullshit invasion of privacy. You're running for public office. People have a right to know what you're really like. So explain it to us. Talk to us. You got time. You can dig yourself out of it. Change minds. Great leaders can do that. What a demonstration of your ability to lead people. Then cover this. So that's what's happening. The unconventional candidate, she has more than 5,700 Chatterbait followers whom she repeatedly pressed for more tokens in exchange for certain acts, adding that she was raising money for a good cause. Okay. She's not even that attractive. I mean, I think she's maybe attractive for Roanoke, Virginia. Like that's a fine looking woman, like for Roanoke, Virginia, but she ain't Dallas hot. She's tall, thin, and blonde. That's it. But so is Ann Coulter. She kind of looks like Ann Coulter is what I'm trying to say. She kind of looks like she's got Ann Coulter vibes. But whatever. I mean, look, if you're a sex freak, cool. Explain it to me, and then I'll go vote. But, if you're just going to be like, no one has a right to know this. See, that's where my disconnect comes. I think we do. Oliver Anthony is trending. Oliver Anthony's trending. I don't know why I just went into a Randy Travis song. All right, why is Oliver Anthony trending? It was something that I like. Oh, yeah. This freaking story. All right, so this story is trending today. It concerns Oliver Anthony and his sudden fame. Look, I told you. I said, look, he's come out of nowhere, and you get about 2 weeks when you come out of nowhere to be the most incredible thing ever before they start to tear you down, because they'll come for you. It's just a cycle of things. Can you withstand the tear down and then rebound with something else that make them love you again for another 2 weeks? That's the game. Oliver Anthony is experiencing that game, although I haven't seen too many outlandish criticisms of him other than from the expected people who were just like, they're just going to look at it and go, I've made up my mind, which is fine. Hey, I'm a great believer in being able to judge people and size them up quickly in order to make decisions about whether or not you're going to spend time with them. I'm a big believer in that. I just think a lot of people do it poorly, whereas I do it great. So this drives me nuts. Okay, so here's the story. By the way, this isn't really a teardown of him. It's just I'm mentioning that because I saw some criticisms, especially as this story started to come out today. Here's the headline. Are you ready? Here's the headline. Oliver Anthony tells fans not to buy tickets and cancels concert. Oliver Anthony tells fans not to buy tickets and then cancels concert. Now, we're going to get into what's really important about this story, but can I just say, that's the headline. Oliver Anthony cancels concert. Oliver Anthony cancels concert. Oliver Anthony. So now the story starts. Now they're writing it, and here's how it starts. Anthony Oliver took to Facebook to tell his now look, that's a simple mistake. I get it. That can happen, and I'm willing to let that go. But then it goes on in big bold, telling us what the next paragraph is. It says, Anthony Oliver's friends. This is MSN. This is a story provided by Anthony Oliver. They do it 5. I don't know. Anthony Oliver. Here we are. Anthony, we're like halfway down the story. Anthony Oliver didn't approve or even let. Anyway, it drives me nuts. Poor journalism, lazy journalism. This is probably written by somebody who doesn't even know who this person is. All right. So anyway, the story. So here's what's going on. So here's why he's trending. Oliver Anthony, not Anthony Oliver. I don't know who this Anthony Oliver guy is. Although, man, that sounds like a great cover band. What if I just, struggling country music artist alert. If you are a struggling country music artist who isn't getting noticed, change your name right now to Anthony Oliver and just start booking shows because you will get shows. People will think. Anyway, we'll move on. So Oliver Anthony is really, I think we could say, as close to what one would call an overnight sensation as he came out of nowhere. It was just one day he came out of nowhere, and now he's, all of a sudden he's somebody. He's got record companies beating down his door. Now, what happens when this actually occurs to a human being? And he's just, a human being in rural Virginia, right? So all of a sudden, one day he's nothing, and he wakes up the next day, and holy shit, the whole world, we got record companies calling us, we got television shows calling us, we got the Today Show on our front lawn. All of a sudden, it's all blown up. So who do you think he uses in those moments to insulate himself from all of this craziness that's coming from the outside world? And there was craziness coming for him. Well, he uses his buddies. He uses his guys that he has. He's a performer already, so he plays little bar gigs and stuff. So maybe he's got a buddy who does the booking and the management. And I would imagine in this situation, that dude became very important. He became the spokesperson for Oliver Anthony or whatever. And this friend probably gets in him. We're let's say we're now like 4 or 5 days into it, and this friend's like, hey, man, we should put together a tour. And Oliver Anthony goes, okay, Goober, you go ahead and you put together the tour. And then Goober goes and starts calling bars, right? Because Oliver Anthony isn't signed to the William Morris agency yet or anything. So Goober's out there signing concert deals. We're going to do a show here. We're going to do a show here. And then the players, they start to promote the concerts. Oliver Anthony sees what the ticket prices are and then goes ballistic. Says it's too expensive. Are you kidding me? Oliver Anthony does not want to cash in here. He does not want to just exploit his fame at the expense of the people that he's singing about. And once again, this freaking dude is awesome. He's just awesome. He's just... He could reveal more bad things. All I'm doing, or he could review some bad things because I've seen nothing. We don't know. We're still in the infancy of his celebritydom. But man, absolutely everything about this guy that has come out so far has really made me go, okay, all right, he's a dude. Anthony Oliver. Again, they're still getting it wrong. Anthony Oliver, whom we all know as Oliver Anthony, took to Facebook to tell his fans not to buy tickets to his show at Cotton Eye Joe. In the same Facebook post, he apologized for the price of the tickets. The country music star was very upset when he learned the price of the tickets. Oliver explained to his fans he has a friend. the aforementioned goober or whatever. Oliver explained to his fans that he has a friend setting up gigs for him. It was this friend who made the arrangements for Anthony Oliver, whom we all know as Oliver Anthony, to have a concert at Cotton Eye Joe's in Knoxville, Tennessee on September the 27th. When Oliver learned of the prices, he quickly let his fans know he didn't want them paying that much to see him sing. It appears that Anthony Oliver is truly trying to keep the prices low so more of his fans can see him. With prices as high for everything else, he is looking out for his fans. All right, I like that. Anthony Oliver, they're still calling him. We're like 4 paragraphs in. They're still calling, even though the headline says Oliver Anthony, they're calling him Anthony Oliver. Anthony Oliver did not approve or even like the fact that his fans were going to have to pay for the meet and greet. Apparently, old Goober, his buddy, set up a little side hustle where for like $5,000, you can come on back and shake his hand, right? So that whole thing, that they happen. That's what meet and greets are. So Goober, a lot of times a radio station will pay for a meet and greet, and then we're giving it away to, listeners and all that. But they're paid for. Make no mistake, those things are special and they cost. So Oliver Anthony learns that his friend Goober set up meet and greets and was charging an X amount of dollars. And he's like, nope, meet and greets are free. Absolutely free, he says. Anthony Oliver did not approve or even like the fact that his fans were going to have to pay for the meet and greet. He wants it to be free. He says, here's a quote now from him. It's also horse shit that they're charging extra for the VIP meet and greet. Anthony commented on Facebook. Those are supposed to be free. Oliver Anthony doesn't want his fans to have to pay in order to see him in person. He's working hard to make sure no one pays for the meet and greet, blah, blah, blah. Cotton Eye Joe's. As of right now, the show has been canceled while they rework the arrangements of the deal. All right. Well, that's very, that's admirable. I like that. All right. So that's why he's trending again today. But like I said, Ben, we have to be on an Oliver Anthony watch. We have to treat him like a tornado. Because, the conditions are right for us to find out, I don't know, his daddy was in the Klan or, something like that. His mama said the N-word on a YouTube video 15 years ago. Something like that. That stuff's going to come. But right now, he seems like a good dude. Right now, he seems like he's saying all the right things. He's being non-polarizing. He's trying to be as cool as possible, and I appreciate that from somebody who's become a phenomenon. All right, what are you doing, dog? Are you going to try and you son of a... I swear... Oh, don't, I'm kidding. She just gave me a look like, Daddy, don't give me that tone. Can you squeeze through? No, you can't. And guess what? That's hot coffee right there. So when you try to squeeze through, you're going to knock the hot coffee on your back, and you're not going to know what happened. All right, so we will move the hot coffee. And we'll move this. You idiot. Here, go. You can get through. Go. Go, CeeLo. Get through. There she goes. All right. Don't mind me. I mean, I love her. Don't get me wrong, but ugh. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna need that. All right. So we covered the Oliver Anthony thing. All right, very good. Let's see. Let me check in on the chat room here. We got a couple more stories here that we'll get to, but let me see what everybody's saying in the chat room. April Michelle talking about Aaron Rodgers. His career over? It could be, man. Look, he can come back and play. He certainly can, but does he want to? I mean, this has got to be a huge mental blow. He was like so psyched for this. This is, and the question becomes, it's one thing when you're 26-year-old trying to come back from this. He's not 26. He might be, it's because it's hard. It's hard to come back from these kinds of injuries. He might just be like, man, maybe I go in the booth. Maybe I get some of that Tony Romo money. I was better than him. Maybe maybe I can cash in there. Yeah, as Barney says, he might just take his bag and go home. I could totally see that. I would. I wouldn't be like looking at 18 months of absolute hell rehabbing this thing, because that's what it's gonna be. So what I read this morning was they were likening it to the extended period of time that it takes pitchers to come back from Tommy John surgery, which is not the same thing at all. These are two different surgeries, but they were talking about how athletes and athletes' bodies as they age take longer. So a lot of people, a lot of young people can come back from this injury that Aaron Rodgers suffered sometimes in less than a year. Something like he could be, if he was maybe a special case or an outlier, he could be back by camp next year, right? And maybe if he was a 24-year-old cornerback, that might be something they'd be willing to risk. But he's older, and it's probably going to take a little bit longer, and he's probably going to be a bit more ginger with it, and he's not going to be able to work it as hard because he's not. I mean, I don't know. Does he want that? Does he want to rehab at 40 years old for one more dream? I don't know. That's a good question. I just assume he be done, because as long as he's not in the league. Like, I never stopped fearing Brett Favre until Brett Favre was out of the league. As soon as he was out of the league, then I was like, okay. It's kind of how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. So I'd be perfectly fine with him. Frank Smith says, Oliver Anthony from Virginia, will he be voting? Frank, why is everything political, Frankie? Why? Ross Rubio says, the Oliver Anthony low ticket price thing is nice and all, but until a lot of major artists do this too, it means nothing. Well, it does mean something. It means something. Well, you're right. I mean, it's not going to be a sea change in the industry, Ross, but what it does do is that it sets an example. It's called precedent. Precedent has to be set. Somebody has to go first. And why it's extra admirable for Oliver Anthony is because by any other token, people would be advising him to cash in at every turn. His rise to stardom, his overnight success, that's an anomaly. And he might just be a novelty. And so he may never have another hit song. We may move on from him. So the advice that he should be getting, and honestly, the advice that I might have given him is cash in, bitch, cash in, bitch, cash in, bitch. But he ain't doing that, which is admirable. It lends credence to the things that he says. He says things that a lot of people say. He says things that sound nice. Like, oh, he's a good guy. He says things that a lot of people say. But he's also backing it up. In most of these people, they might give you examples of, well, back it up this way. Almost never do they back it up with a loss to their bottom line. And, I don't know. I find that admirable. Hugh says Moran Morris charges for meet and greet and gives 100% to the school music programs. Okay, well, there you go. That's a thing. That's interesting. Okay, good. Rob Barr says you're forgetting the game where he got injured and in the second half destroyed the up by 27 Bears. No, Rob, I'm not forgetting that game. I remember that game. That was the Khalil Mack debut game. Season opener, Sunday Night Football. We were routing them in the first half, and then they kicked our ass. I have not forgotten every tragic Bear Packer loss. I have not. I lived them. I know you did too, Rob. I know. All right, that's the Oliver Anthony story. Let's move on here. Here's a fun one. This comes to us. Oh, God. Okay, so I'm going to have to try and tamp down the the old man in me. There's an old man in me that doesn't like change. And these kids today, there's that guy's in me. But I think I do a pretty good job most of the time of keeping that guy in his cell. This one's a tough one. Okay, so are you familiar with the Texas hair law? All right, so there's a new law in Texas. Look, let's go back a couple of years. There was a story about a kid who had butt-length dreadlocks, a little black kid down in Houston, somewhere down there. And they're like, you can't have that hair in Texas, and the kid's like, but it's a part of my identity and my cultural and all that stuff. And it became a big court case. And now there's a law in Texas that was signed into effect September the 1st, the Crown Law. The Crown, get it? Crown, like hair. I don't know what it's an acronym for, probably something stupid. But the Crown Law was signed on September 1st. And what it does is it forbids school districts, school boards, teachers, forbids them from denying education to students based on hairstyle. Okay, so now we get into the dangerous cultural aspects of this. Because, you're probably not, the Asian kids, they all kind of have one hairstyle, and then you got white kids, they some are curly, hair length becomes an issue, I suppose, there. Then you got black people, and you got black Americans who do things with their hair because of the way their hair is. They're very kinky, Very, very, very curly, very tight curls, very dense, shapeable, like what's that stuff you get at carnivals? What is that? When black hair is like, what is that? Cotton candy. You know, kind of like a cotton candy thing. So, because of that reality, black people do really cool and interesting things with their hair, and why not? Look, I don't have hair, so I don't think about hair, but the craziest hairstyles that I've seen, certainly over the past 10 years, were on black women. I've seen black women with like birthday cakes in their head. I mean, just like crazy. So whatever, that's their thing. That's a cultural thing that they do. Why do I care? I don't care. So when that kid of the woman who has the birthday cake in her head, you know, the kid also has a crazy hairstyle. That kid goes to school. Now the teacher's like, I don't put up with this. So now there's a law that says the teacher has to put up with the hair. So it's already being tested. So September the 1st was the day the law went into effect here in Texas, affecting the new school year. And we've already got a situation here in Texas where a kid has been suspended because of his hair. Students suspended for hairstyle same week as law banning hair-based discrimination takes effect. The Texas school was at the center of a similar controversy in 2020. Oh, so this is ground zero school. Oh, we've got an activist principal here. We've got an activist teacher. Is it just a coincidence that the same school that was at the center of this new law, the Crown Act, is it a coincidence that same school is the very first school within days of the Crown Act going into effect, the very first school to violate it? No, we've got a piece of shit activist teacher or something here. This is not good. Let's see. Okay, so here's the story. A black teenager in Texas was kicked out of class for over a week due to his lock haircut. They'll explain it. All right, take it easy, Byron. White guys. All us white guys are like, what? What's a lock haircut? Despite a state law passed on September 1st meant to ban discrimination based on hair. Administrators at the ironically named Barbers Hill High School. Yes. Come on! There is no God. This shit is all just random and crazy. Stop it. The school that is at the center of the haircut controversy and hairstyle is called Barbers Hill. Not even Barber Hill. Like Barber Hill, you could say, well, it's just a guy named Barber. No, Barbers. It's a barber's hill. It's where you go to get your haircut. Hey, where'd you get your haircut? Up on the hill. I mean, that's crazy. Administrators at Barbers Hill High School in Mont Belvieu, about 30 miles east of Houston, told the junior that wearing his locks, strands of hair. Okay, they're going to explain what locks are here. They explained to the junior that wearing his locks, which are strands of hair that are formed through matting or braiding, he was told that wasn't allowed because he tied them into a ponytail. The same school was at the center of a similar controversy in 2022, which led to the state's new Crown Act. A law, there we go, that forbids the racial discrimination against people who have certain hair styles and hair textures, blah, blah, blah. They said they'll send them to an alternative school because of this. This is just, they don't like the hair. They don't. Okay, let's look at the kid's hair. We'll see the kid's hair. We'll see how big of a distraction it is. Because that would be the only reasonable objection to this dude's hair that I would sit and listen to. Okay, so you think it's a distraction? Okay, let's see it. Let me see if I agree with you that this is going to be distracting. I'm easily distractible. So let me imagine sitting in the class and let me take a look at what we're dealing with here. So here, you tell me, is this distraction or is this a distraction? Let me pull the story up. I should have pulled it up earlier. I mean, I knew I wanted to show the hair pictures, of course. Of course I did. Boom, there we go. All right. There. Okay, so I don't know what's going on there. That's whatever that is. That's not the craziest thing. Dude, you just go to a Walmart on a Saturday afternoon. You'll see some crazy black haircuts. It's nuts. Let me see. Are there any other pictures? What's this? Okay, we don't need to watch a whole news story, but you see it. It's just black teenager hair. I mean, I don't see the problem here. Unless your problem is with the black teenager part and you're just looking for ways to make their life difficult for whatever reason. I don't know. This is stupid. Unless the hair is obviously a distraction, then come on. What are you doing here? You know what's a distraction? I saw a video, a viral video of a teacher, a woman teacher going off on like a student. This was high school. The student was like a junior and this teacher was going off and people were like, this teacher is shaming her. This is slut shaming. She should never work again. And I'm watching this and I'm going, this teacher is doing God's work right here. Why? Because the junior girl was dressed like a prostitute. She was sitting in class. She was wearing a bikini top. That's it. And then she was wearing like a thong whale tail, fishnets, and high heel. She looked absurd. She was like a 17-year-old girl. And the teacher was telling her, you, ma'am, are not allowed in my classroom if you're dressed like this. And the girl was saying all this bullshit that she reads on social media that actually reads well in a thread and sounds like a way to really ensure my civil liberties. Sounds good, but in actual practical practice is bullshit. This girl is going, I'm feeling threatened right now. You're making me feel like I should hide my sexuality. All of the bullshit that we hear. And really, let's boil it down. This girl is dressed like a fool, and the teacher is calling her out on it because it's a distraction to the rest of the class. That teacher is doing God's... Well, that's not a teacher's job. Yeah, it is. Let's start making a whole bunch of things that we didn't used to consider a teacher's job because parents are doing a shit job of that stuff. So maybe we allow a teacher to go, you know what? You're not going to come in my class dressed like a slut. And that's what she called her. And she called her a slut. Oh my God. That woman with 30 years tenure in the school, she needs to be fired immediately for calling the 17-year-old girl wearing fishnets, a whale tail, and a bikini top a slut. Now, maybe she regrets that. And you know what she should be allowed to do? She should be allowed to apologize. She should be allowed to say, you know what, young lady? I was triggered. And, sometimes we all lose our garbage. And I do apologize because that was a terrible thing for me to say to you. Then what? No, that ain't good enough. No, I have trauma now. Oh, fuck. I have trauma. People have trauma. What we do is we deal with it. And we try and... I don't want to get into it. Anyway, hair. See what happens with the stream of consciousness? Sometimes something else gets triggered. I get angry and I go off. Thank you for going on that ride with me. Let's get the car back on the road. Taryn Manning. You guys know who Taryn Manning is? Taryn Manning is trending. Oh, God. This chick. She's always kind of been a train wreck, hasn't she? So, excuse me. Taryn Manning first came on the scene as a young girl playing a prostitute in Hustle and Flow. Remember Hustle and Flow? She was good. She was really good. And it's like, oh my God, this young actress, wow, she's turning in a really powerful dramatic performance here. So Taryn Manning got on. Then she's like, I don't know, she started like becoming like a TMZ fool. Like, you know what I mean? Like Taryn Manning falling down drunk, that like she started to get some stink on her reputation. Then she turns up on Sons of Anarchy, and then she's a regular on Sons of Anarchy as Cherry, like the little underage porn star girlfriend of... Who was with Cherry? It doesn't matter. So anyway, her career started out like, oh, she's going to be so... And then it really didn't... She's not a big name. Like she doesn't know if she's a rock singer. She's in bands and stuff. Whatever. My point is this. She's kind of a train wreck. And she don't care. And she is getting dragged on the socials today. Why? Because she is very, very good friends with Danny Masterson. Danny Masterson of That 70s Show. Danny Masterson who... wait. She took it down. Nope, she didn't take it down. No, she didn't. We're going to show it here. Hold on. Okay, good. All right, so we're going to show this. She made a video today, Taryn Manning, the actress. She made a video today where she is on Instagram and she is defending Dunny Musterson. So let's watch that, shall we? Let me see if we can. I can't go to Instagram, so I got to just show it off the video, but you can hear what she has to say. Okay. Boop. This is why she's being drugged. Fudge! What the hell? I don't want to watch this on Instagram. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry. Boop. There we go. All right, so we'll do the full thing here.
Really loved and cared for. I was just having a bad day. And also I have a lisp. I'm 80% deaf. And so I've actually come a really long way.
Well, can I just, what? That forehead. Do you guys remember? Look, whatever. She's getting drugged. She's getting hammered. She's going to say some things that, hey, they said I was victim blaming because I was simply wondering what the chain of events were between the actual rape and the conviction 23 years later. But hey, I can't get past her look. Okay, do you guys remember on Saturday Night Live when Kristen Wiig used to do that bit, the girl with the baby arm? She looks like Kristen Wiig, the girl with the baby arm from Saturday Night Live. Here, all right, you know what? Here. let me show you what I'm talking about really quick, okay? Just so we're clear, because it's very funny to me. And I would like something that's very funny to me to also be very funny to you. That's how we share. Okay. Yeah. All right, this is exactly what I'm talking about. All right, this is what she looks like. Boom. Boom. Hold up. Boom. That's what she looks like to me. That's what Taryn Manning looks like to me. Well, see if there's a closer up one. Yeah, no. That's the funniest character that she ever did. Just this inbred sister in a girl group. It's like 5 sisters who sing, and like 4 of them are hot, and then the 5th one is this. It's a very funny bit. All right, come on, show me more of the baby arm girl so we can. There she is. Look at her. All right. Anyway, that's for some reason. That's what Taryn Manning reminds me of right now. That's what I think she looks like. Not having a really good. Here we go. All right. Boom. All right, so back to Taryn Manning.
Way with my speech impediment. So for everybody that thinks I'm on drugs or drunk, no, I just actually, when I get relaxed or when I'm not like on the silver screen, I can tend to fall back into my tendencies, which is a little bit of a list. But at this point, everyone's humiliated me so bad that I'm all the way in for everything that I've always stood for, that I was hiding secretly, that there's no human on this planet that doesn't deserve to have the best life and to be happy and free, because you are made in the image of the good Lord, made perfectly just the way you are. And the fact that people want to just tear us all down, like even like with my friend Danny going to prison for 30 years. Yeah, he made a mistake, but everyone just keep going. Just keep crucifying him as if he's not already suffering. He gets it. He got it. Leave him alone. Leave me alone. Leave people alone. Who are you? Who are you? What did you do today to change the world, huh? Since you have so many opinions.
Well, we didn't rape 2 people 20 years ago. How's that for a starter?
What did you do to change the world, huh? People like you, people like me. Yeah, enough. It's enough.
Okay. Yeah, that's a Hollywood actress. I always say they're nutty as a big. People have no idea. I've been around a lot of actresses, and I'm not talking about big famous ones. I can only imagine how unbelievable they are. I'm talking about like actresses, girls who make like, $50 grand a year working in playhouses. Oh, they're insane. That's kind of how she is. Taryn Manning, she's not in a good place. She's up there defending Danny Masterson. She's telling the rest of us that we're wrong for judging him. He was just convicted of 2 rapes. He's going to jail for 30 years. We're allowed to convict him. Anyway, she's getting dragged for that. And, I kind of added a little to it, but can we be human for one moment? There's something wrong with her. Again, there's something wrong with her. Just putting it out there. There should be somebody in her life that is going, hey, let's get off the Facebook and the Instagram for a little bit because you're spinning off this planet. But there's not. So she's doing that, and she's being, hammered online, and some might say rightfully so. Rightfully so if you need tit for tat. Like if you need somebody to say something that triggers you and then you just can't move on without destroying that person in retaliation, then you're bad too. Just, she says something, well, leave her alone. Leave her alone. She's nuts. And she looks like Kristen Wiig, the Baby Arm girl. She looks a lot like her these days. All right, speaking of more having to do with that story, Ashton Shut up, Google. Ain't nobody said nothing to you. God, my phone just went. I didn't understand that. Ashton Kutcher. We talked about him yesterday. We talked about him yesterday about how one of the victims of Danny Masterson, that 70s show Hyde, who's now doing 30 years in prison. One of the victims, Jane Doe number 1, who's not Ashley. Her name is can't think of her name. She's not hiding. Chrissy Bixler. That's what it is. Chrissy Bixler. She's the one that's married to the Mars Volta guy. Okay. So Chrissy Bixler yesterday went on one of the socials, and she took down Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis for their video that they made explaining why they wrote letters of character to the judge on behalf of Danny Masterson. They did that. Those are supposed to be private. Those are not supposed to be made public, and it's supposed to be a way for people who are close and intimate with somebody who's going through, a situation where they're about to be sentenced, to maybe get the ear of the judge and say, look, here's some of the things that maybe you don't know about him. Whatever. Those are good things. They're not supposed to be made public because they can be embarrassing. And we live in a world with no rules. So, of course, they were made public, and the whole of the internet decided that Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, maybe rightfully so, I don't know, whatever. I'm not wading into these waters. But they got really angry with them, and so they were forced to make a video explaining why they wrote these letters, right? So now, in response to that letter, Chrissy what is it? Chrissy, hold on, where is it? Bixler, that's it, Chrissy Bixler, Jane Doe, she went hard after Ashton Kutcher yesterday. We talked about it on the show. It was, she started saying, I know about stuff that would ruin you, and, you know what you did on that date, and then she gave the date. And then so I was intrigued, so I looked into it, and that's when, yesterday's big story was, did you know that Ashton Kutcher was dating a girl who was killed by a serial killer while he was dating her, and that Ashton Kutcher discovered the body? I mean, I didn't know that, so that was the story yesterday. So I've done a little digging, and I found out a little bit more about the story. It's very interesting, was not a big news story, and I guess Ashton Kutcher wasn't a big Ashton Kutcher at that point. He was just kind of little Ashton Kutcher, so we didn't really care. But it wasn't a big deal. And it was just another girl in Hollywood murdered. So now today, more people are talking about that, and all the internet sleuths are they're basically turning the 2002 murder or 2001 murder of Ashton Kutcher's girlfriend at the hands of the Hollywood Ripper. They're like now giving it the true crime treatment, and I am here for it. I want to know what she meant when she cryptically said, I know what you did on that day, and if the world knew, you'd be ruined, or words to that effect, something like that. I don't know that I got the impression that Ashton Kutcher killed his girlfriend, but anyway, we've got more details about what she was referring to. Actor Ashton Kutcher's then girlfriend, Ashley Ellerin, was murdered by a serial killer nicknamed the Hollywood Ripper in 2001 when she was 22 years old. I'm looking at a picture of her. Adorable. I don't know who Ashley Ellerin was, but she is really cute. And she was murdered by the Hollywood Ripper in 2001 when she was 22 years old. Ellerin's killer, Michael Gargiulo, was sentenced to death in 2021 after Kutcher's involvement in the case helped authorities deliver justice. Kutcher has always claimed that he had gone to Ellerin's apartment to pick her up for a date that night and saw what he thought was spilled wine near the front door. Assuming that she was not home, he left the premises, only for the police to find Ellerin had been brutally murdered. Kutcher cooperated with the ensuing investigation. All right, so you get that? So here's Ashton Kutcher's story. Ashton Kutcher's in a relationship with Ashley Ellerin. They're dating, and he's going to grab her. She's at her place. He's going to go pick her up. They're both like 22, 21 years old. He's going to take her out. They're going to go for a night of partying in Hollywood. He gets there, knocks on the door. And she's not answering. You know, come on, Ashley, get out of the shower, whatever. You know, you're upset. Girls take forever. He goes, this is his story now. He goes and he looks through the window and he sees what looks to be spilled wine all over the entryway. Wine. Well, she was murdered by a serial killer, so I think we now know that it wasn't wine. But he looked at it and he went, oh, looked like wine, and then he left. That's not believable. That is the story that he told. Yeah, I went to pick her up for a date and she didn't answer, so I looked in the window. I saw that she spilled some wine, so I left. That is not believable. People had cell phones in 2001. He didn't call her. He said, hey, I'm here to pick you up. Where are you at? Okay, so that's weird. That's weird. And it's never been talked about. It's 20 years ago, man. Ooh, I mean, what is this that's happening here? I mean, are we uncovering something now simply because somebody leaked a letter of character reference from Ashton Kutcher regarding Danny Masterson's sentencing? Is that why we're here? Somebody leaked it, and now Ashton Kutcher is going to go on trial for murder 20 years ago? I don't know. It's not what I'm saying. But so here's the new allegations. This is the story today. Ashton Kutcher has always claimed that he had gone to Ellerin's apartment to pick her up for a date and saw what he thought was spilled wine near the front door. Assuming she was not home, he left the premises. The police then found Ellerin had been brutally murdered. Kutcher cooperated with the ensuing investigation. But now, new allegations surrounding what Kutcher witnessed at the scene of the crime have arisen amid a more recent controversy that's attached to the actor. The allegations, Masterson's ex-girlfriend, Danny Masterson, Danny Masterson's ex-girlfriend, Chrissy Bixler, Jane Doe number 1, the rape victim. Danny Masterson's ex-girlfriend, Chrissy Bixler, was among the 3 women who Danny Masterson was convicted of raping. Bixler was instrumental in assisting the other 2 survivors in building their case against the actor. Bixler claims, come amid the news, the 2 of Masterson's That 70s Show co-stars, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, defended Masterson's character via letters sent to the Los Angeles judge ruling on his rape and sexual assault case. All right, so they're giving you all the background that I just gave you. I didn't have to read that. After their letters were leaked, Bixler began speaking out on the alleged skeletons in Kutcher's closet. Okay, here we go. This is the good stuff. In a series of Instagram posts, the model actress accused Kutcher of lying to the police about what he actually witnessed the night of the late Ellerin's murder. Bixler claims that Kutcher called his team of publicists and Danny Masterson before the police. All right, so that's kind of a problem. But that's Hollywood, right? I watch Ray Donovan. I don't know if you've ever seen Ray Donovan. Ray Donovan is a Hollywood fixer. He's like when a celebrity ends up in bed with a dead prostitute, he'll call TMZ. Now they call Ray Donovan. Ray Donovan makes it go away. So, I mean, that's what celebrities do. When celebrities are famous and they're involved in something really bad, they don't call the police first. They call their lawyer or their publicist or whatever. So that's what he did here. It says here she's claiming that he's lying about what he saw there, and she's also saying that he called first his publicist and then Danny Masterson, and then only then the police. Let's see here. She goes on to say, additionally, Bixler's statements are leading some true crime followers to further allegations that the LAPD covers up crimes committed by the Church of Scientology. Now, some accuse Kushner's anti-human trafficking organization, Thorn, of being some kind of sinister cover-up. So apparently Kutcher's got an anti-human trafficking organization that he supports and funds, and so now obviously that's an evil organization. But whatever. But here's also the problem here. This is the disconnect. This is why access to all this information is not good if we can't properly process it. Additionally, I'm going to read this to you. Additionally, Bixler's statements are leading some true crime followers to further allegations. Ones like that the LAPD covers up crimes committed by the Church of Scientology. Okay, this has nothing to do with the Church of Scientology. The other story has to do with the Church of Scientology. Denny Masterson was in the Church of Scientology. And I don't know about this Bixler woman, but she may have been, yeah, she was. This Bixler woman was also involved with Scientology. I don't believe Ashton Kutcher was. This is about Ashton Kutcher, his girlfriend, seeing his, unless you're trying to say Danny Masterson murdered his good, that's stupid. That's not, but then again, this is a very Q-like conspiracy that seems to be brewing. So who knows? But it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make. Additionally, they believe that the LAPD this is proof the LAPD is covering up for Scientology crimes. What Scientology was the murder victim a Scientologist? Because I don't think Ashton Kutcher is. Stupid. Anyway, there you go. Let's watch this story as it develops. But I am fascinated. I am fascinated about Ashton Kutcher going to pick up a girl. That girl turning out to having been a victim of a serial killer, and Ashton Kutcher just being like, I don't know, is that a hot guy thing? Maybe that's a hot guy thing. Maybe he's just, because she's really attractive. So maybe he's just like, that, whatever, she misses out. And he goes and he finds another hot chick somewhere because he's a hot guy. I don't know. Me, a regular guy, I just don't, she's beautiful. I don't knock on the door and she doesn't answer, and then I look in and I see what looks to be some form of chaos. That is what you should think when you see a bottle of wine, what you think is a bottle of wine spilled all over the floor. Don't you go, that's chaos. That's probably not supposed to be that way. I should probably go and investigate further. Maybe I'll walk around the back and see if they're back. No, he left. No, he just left. He just went, nah. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I like you, Ashton Kutcher, but I don't believe that. All right, let's see. Here's... Hold on. I gotta wait for this call. We're gonna wrap up the show anyway. We're going late. That's my ringer. My son hates it. He thinks it's absurd. It is. Ba-ba-ba. Oh, I see what's happening. Nope. Yeah, I know. I'm not sure what's happening either right now. I got some cords that I didn't connect. That's not true. There we go. See what I just did? See what a weirdo I am? I just said to you, I said, oh, there's some cords here I must have unplugged. I knew when I said that, I knew that I didn't have the damn dog. She was just the one that was back there and unplugged. But look at me trying to shield the dog. That's what I do. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with us. We're going to do Radio Misfits tonight, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. Myself, James Parker, get into a whole bunch of stuff. We'll tell you about our big comedy showdown that's coming up in a couple weeks. Tell you about that, how you can be a part of that, how you can come out and hang out. Tickets are free, by the way. Just wanted to let you know. Tickets are free. That's the Improv. We just want y'all to come. We'll have some fun. Seems a little low, doesn't it? There it goes. Whoa, whoa. All right, I guess that's it. That was fun, right? Tip the show if you can. That'd be appreciated. You guys got us through the last month, but we are in a new month, so. See you tonight. Okay, bye, everybody. Appreciate you. RadioMisfits.com. Out. Far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come.
shuffling to song. I can smile a little now, things are going good. I always had to be on guard, that is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.